Very interesting topic. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. Matthew 5:16, King James Version. Now, holy contrasts and contradictions. Because Jesus also said, what did he tell you? Jesus said, don't do your works before men, because then your reward is here instead of in heaven. So again, the Bible is a very interesting document, book, studying social norms, societies, and social mechanisms of wellness. So the Bible always says things that are contradicted somewhere else in the Bible. It's just the way it is. But there's something to be learned from that. And I think Srila Prabhupada, the teacher, or what they call guru, the head man of the Hare Krishna Society, which is a form of Hinduism, but believe you me, it's monotheistic. They just have a strange way of expressing their monotheism. However, you can go to Hebrew Judaism and you'll find similar likenesses within Judaism. There's a lot of likenesses. It's very interesting. Because Hinduism was made up of a bunch of loosely knit religions when it first started, differing sects, and each tribe of Judaism, the same thing. And again, I'm not asking you to embrace anybody else's religion, but Mr. Srila Prabhupada believes in Jesus. But what he did say is he preached according to his time and his audience. And of course, we find that message timeless. But also, Srila Prabhupada says he believes that he was the Son of God. But yet when we look within the Bible, we find that audience and those teachings also vary. And things are spoken as they need to be spoken when they're spoken. Not to say that they don't have something for all time, because I've already preached on that timeless message, and how when God created this, God had to know that God could use it and apply it through all time and space. And there's actually rules within the Bible on how to use it, and Paul was a good one for that. But also a good one to also kind of contradict himself at times, but really just simply audience, time, space, and bracketing, and working off of where society was at the moment. Because if they went in one direction too far, he would try to bring them back, and then if they went in the other direction too far, he'd bring them back. So it was, sometimes we find the Bible being used out of the context of when it was delivered, but that's okay. You know, I don't condemn you or anything you're doing in reality. And of course, I forgive everyone, and I've already told you I forgave everyone before I even came to earth. So there's no need to forgive you here, but if you need it, I forgive everyone. But that doesn't mean that I can't move in a certain fashion to help people understand what they're not supposed to do by describing it in the proper terminology and using the proper terms to describe the horrid behavior that they used to destroy my health and my life. Now, we are guaranteed in this country life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It does not exist for everyone. It did not exist for me. Am I poor? No. Am I poor in health? Yes. So again, the whole time I was telling you what they were doing. Hopefully I heal this. I just don't know. I'll be getting to believe it's part of it is allergens. But I feel worse when the sun's high up in the sky, and that's when that grass is pollinating, and probably the ragweed also. And then when I put the mask on, I haven't washed my mask in a while. I pulled one out from Tyler, Texas. Boy, I was aching from head to toe. So again, there's no reason that I'm aching from head to toe one place and not aching from head to toe in another place, when the only difference is I'm wearing my mask and I know there was allergens on it. So it's a very strange thing that's going on. I haven't been able to secure any steroids yet. And, you know, there could be three things wrong. But I got to get rid of that muscle cramping first before I can decide that the other things are right also. So I went to this one place and I said, you know, told him about my back cramps, my upper back cramps and my middle back cramps. And he described something in my lower back, which could still be it, but you can see things in the lower back all day and not affect anything. It's just part of how X-ray and imaging works. So, again, he's looking for a procedure. But he walks around the back of me and says, watch. He was sure he was going to elicit some pain or some reaction by pressing on my lumbar vertebrae. It's already been done by a ton of people. There's no reaction. And the majority of my muscle cramping, and you know, maybe tightness in the lower back, sometimes everybody's got it, but my muscle cramping that I'm speaking about, how you doing? That I'm speaking about actually is middle back up. But when it fires, it starts affecting the legs. So it kind of draws them up tight, cramps them. So again, it sounds like lumbar. But so theoretically, if it's a facet nerve, it would cramp the muscles around the facet nerve, the vertebrae there. That's the only place that I'm not really cramping. So I'm not telling you that maybe it isn't another facet nerve somewhere. But, I'm like, so you're telling me that a lumbar facet nerve will cramp your entire back? But my back is uncramping, slowly but surely. Between what is that called? The chiropractic work there, the chiropractor adjustments. And what I'm doing all day, I'm sitting here massaging my muscle on upright columns, kind of breaking it down. My left side during the day pretty much stays uncramped. My right side is still in the phases of being uncramped, but less cramped than it is. Now, there's this section in towards the spine that gets cramped. But when I had a massage, that kind of weird one, he did do a little bit of work, and he said, I can feel something going from over here, which is kind of the scapula, the outer scapula area, to right into your spine. And it's real tight. So, I'm near these air conditioners. They make background noise. I forgot. So, when that spot in towards my spine cramps, I decide to do a test. Because if I massage it directly, it's not really releasing that well. But this is how I release it. Now, this can't have anything to do with my lumbar spine. I go to the outer edge of my latissimus dorsi, underneath my, kind of almost underneath my underarm, and I massage that out, going in a little bit towards my back, just maybe an inch or two, and then it releases. So, you know, that doesn't make me feel like a facet nerve in my lumbar region is cramping it. Not to say maybe that it is involved somehow. So a lot of craziness going on. My doctor and her supervisor, I'm at Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech is really interesting. I enjoy that place because these doctors are not accusing me of anything. They just got to the point and said, can we get all your medical records so we can go through them and figure out what they've done? Because they've agreed that it sounds like it's autoimmune, so we're going to do an autoimmune test. Or something, you know, that battery of tests. But again, I think it's like allergic muscles. So, but once they get damaged, then that's only one part of it. It cramps it up. And then, you know, you can be a while before the muscle comes back to life and doesn't cramp. Although it could be a facet nerve somewhere. Hopefully it's not the whole back of facet nerves. Which I don't think it could be. Everybody always wants to come back to my upper back and middle back later. Actually, it's most of my middle back. Because they want to do the procedure first. Because that's where the money is. But I do have an appointment with a physiatrist next week. So no matter what everybody else does, I'm going to speak with him and see where we can get to. He specializes in rehabilitation medicine, but it's a wide swath of medicine. Not real narrow. That's the problem. I'm going to these narrow people that want to do their thing. I bet you if I would have gotten to Hospitality Health, they'd have like given me steroids. I didn't know since May they were taking Medicare at the freestanding emergency rooms. Although yesterday I was going to go to the freestanding emergency room, but something said, look, they can't run the tests that we need run. Go over to PSA. So this is what happens. I go in and I get an adjustment. And I mean, you know, the adjustments are working and releasing me, I think, to a certain degree. And I've only had like a week and a half. But all of a sudden, the left side of my body goes and droops. And the right side's kind of rigid. And I'm kind of like really having pain. So I'm like, wait a minute. This isn't making sense. I said, look, I realize I'm supposed to do physical therapy, but left side of my body is pretty weak right now. And I think I want to have that checked out. At first, they were like, well, you're supposed to do your physical therapy. And then they said, okay. And I left, and it was a little trouble getting to the right place. Because I got the BSA, and then it said no, and then I was trying to feel my way through it. Because I went in, there was a lot of people. So these masks getting away. But what happened was, I went in once, I left because they were busy, and then I took my headphones and put them on the outside of my mask instead of under my mask like an idiot. And they fell off. They got crushed. Brand new headphones, $50. And that's a cheap price. I want to replace them. It's 100. Same headphones. Get run over. I was like, oh. But, so I finally get there, and I told him, I said, look, the left side of my body is weak. Well, these dumb masks get in the way. I don't blame them. And I told him I don't blame them. But what they heard, I said, my left leg. I was like trying to explain the whole thing. It just came out that I have left leg pain. So I'm standing, because I can't sit. I'm uncomfortable as anything. And I can't sit. I'm standing in the ER for a little while. Longer than I should be if I had the left side of my body go bunk. At 56 years old, especially. I'm like, this can't be right. And I like, when I figured it out, I talked up to the lady. So she's, you're next. They'll fix it in there. I'm like, okay. She said, oh, you're going to go and get a lumbar CAT scan. I'm like, what? I said, I told them my whole left side of my body went. I said, oh, okay, we thought it was leg pain. So he did that CAT scan, and they're wheeling me in the room at a certain point. Or I'm going in the room. I can't remember. Did they push me into the room? I can't even remember. And I look up at the doctor, and I said, look, they got this confused. I feel bad for them because and I treated them well. Like like nothing happened, but I told them, I said, the mask got in the way. I tried to say something, you can't hear it. You say something to me, I couldn't hear you. So again, I gave them the out, right? And next thing I know, I'm the trauma team's in there working on me. They like wheel me over to CAT scan real quick to get the head CAT scan, and when I come back, everybody's in there, So they said, look, we could admit you and let you spend the night. I said, do I have to wear the mask all night? He goes, we'd like you to. I said, look, I feel a little bit better now, but I was way out of it this morning. I said, I feel a little bit better now. And, I think I'll just, go home. It turns out that my doctor's, it's one of my doctor's colleagues, as they put it. They're both in that Texas Tech program. And he's like, yeah, your doctor can pull this up in the BSA system if she wants to see it. Because, yeah, I was just talking to her yesterday. And he was there to talk me out of staying, I think. I don't know why, but he was. But I was like, I'm like, cool. I said, as long as you did, I said, you did the CAT scan, right? Because I've never seen a hospital so careful. Maybe they were nervous because they had, I don't know, maybe that what it was. They were nervous because I had left me out in the waiting room. But, I've never seen a hospital so careful. I'd like to know if that was special or normal. And I imagine it was normal at this point. Nothing to say that it wasn't. But I've never seen a hospital go past the CAT scan and the blood work and say, hey, we'll do an MRI and an echo sound. So again, I think it was great treatment. And my middle back, there is kind of a funky thing. One of the discs is funky, but generally middle back doesn't, do things. It could actually be there instead of the lumbar. Because I don't have pain, I just have cramping. And I know I overused those muscles. I know I did. I got too into that backpacking and yoga and calisthenics and stretching and, after having done nothing for like a couple months, besides, walking to the Walmart. Well, I don't know. But I aged 50 years in 2 days. blindsided again. And that's what witches do when they stalk people for their criminal enterprises. You know, Gabrielle Allmarth, the exorcist of the Catholic Church, previously passed on recently, last couple of years, something like that, or a few years. He said that witches are hired and paid a lot of money. And it's funny that he says it, but he doesn't realize that most witches are secret witches, and they work for governments and big corporations. And they're paid very well, with salaries. And boss is like, handle it. But that's why the world's in hell right now. And of course I'm there too, but hey, Jesus went to hell for a few days. You hear that spirit's trying to speak to me and speak through me. So, I don't know. I'm healing, but yet it's kind of sticking. And I told my doctor today, I was like, and I didn't get all the information through to her because it just didn't work that way. But I got a lot. And I said, look, in my life, the only time that this ever was put into remission when I had events similar to this, not as bad as this, but similar. And I guess if I was given steroids in the beginning, it could have been similar, much shorter. But I said, a steroid shot, and then boom. Everything turned around in a couple weeks. So it is what it is. And I don't know where it's going to end, but it is what it is. But she said, it sounds like it might be rheumatoid, or it might be this, it might be that. And said, we're going to get to the bottom of it. I mean, I understand the facet nerve thing. But does one facet nerve cramp your entire back? And what happened last night is I laid down, and me and the Blue Cross Blue Shield nurse consult line was trying to figure out what may be doing that. But I actually had another question for her, but we got into that because we got off onto that topic. But the main question was, when I was in the emergency room, they said, you can't have ibuprofen. I said, I need some ibuprofen. You can't have ibuprofen, you're going to have a baby aspirin and Tylenol. I said, okay. So I had gotten home, and I forgot, and I wanted to ask him, I forgot to ask him, hey, can I resume my ibuprofen? So I was on the nurse consult line, and she said, look, based upon what you're telling me would happen today, I can't tell you to have ibuprofen. Yes, you can take Tylenol. You don't even want to take an aspirin. No blood thinners. So she says, well, you can call the doctor. He might have a different answer. You can do Teladoc. So she recommends I do Teladoc. But in the middle of that, we were talking about my back. And I said, I had this soft mattress on there, but I took it off before because it was bothering me. And then I put it back on, and it seemed to be better. But I said, let me see what happens when I lay on the mattress by itself. I said, oh, I'm not cramping up. So I said, okay, my mattress was too soft. That's part of it. So at least I minimized it. But I slept on my back my side a couple days, and it didn't bother me. It didn't cramp up. And then I slept on my back, and it didn't cramp most of the night, but then somewhere along the night it cramped up. But I noticed it cramped up, and I woke up, and my postnasal drip was going crazy. So again, I think there's an allergy aspect to it. That's why I'm hoping to get some steroids Let's like knock that back a bit to see how it works, you know? Wait a minute, I got something going on here now. That's way up above. Yeah, yeah, see, it's like hyperneurology. It's like I got hyper. I looked up the word hyperneurology or excited neurology, and I couldn't find anything. Maybe you have to look at nerves or something. But I think it could be because what happens is the allergens cause some sort of protein or something to form around the nerves, and it causes them to be hypersensitive. So you're going to notice stuff all over your body until your body calms down. And I think that's what the steroids did. And I've been trying to explain that to doctors for quite a long time now. But when witches curse you, you just don't get where you need to get to. Well, devils, demons, antichrist, witches, and sorcerers curse you. So I live in this place where all these blue-collar workers, like construction-type workers, live. Like every night's like a beer. Of course, it's Friday night now, and they're all got a bunch of food and beer. And they're all chilling. They didn't know what to think when I first got here, I guess. But I'm trying to let my light so shine before the people I'm helping. I know that, I realize that these systems are overworked and everything. We have a lot of homeless people, and we have a lot of waiting lists. We have nothing emergency in place unless I call, and I forgot to call emergency, I forgot to call Adult Protective Services. And I told the guy, I said, look, I'm not going to call them on you and have him lock you up and say you can't live in your car. But if somebody at Adult Protective Services says they have a place for you to stay, then we're going to set that up so you can get there. Because you have to make a case. If they're going to place somebody, you have to give them a case. You have to open a case. So he felt good with that. I told him he could stay in my room, but he can't smoke. And he's like, well, I'm a chain smoker. I mean, the guy's psychology. I mean, I don't think it's disability psychology or psychological. I mean, it could be. But he's not like being a jerk. It's just he has a certain type of mind, and he's afraid of this, he's afraid of that. But I was ready to give him a space in my room. I said, you can live in my room. I got 2 beds in there. We'll figure out the extra amount. I mean, what you're paying probably in here for a week is what you pay for a month probably in my room for an extra person, if they even charge us. But he just, he can't walk too well. He's actually one of the few people that doesn't walk, that walks worse than I do. Although some of my strength is coming back, and this is subsiding a little bit, and I'm working hard to get it gone. But darn, I just wish I had some steroid. I enjoy being here again. There's a lot of disabled people to help. One even works, and I keep telling them, look, your doctor told you to go on disability. Get it. Hurry up before you're too injured to work. I told him, I said, call them up, start them to working. And I think he did. Came home today from work. He's landscaping. His neck's like crooked. And he's like 48. I thought he was like my age. Or 46 or something. But he's a good guy. I mean, he drinks. They all drink, and have their vices. But Jesus didn't come to seek and save you, because you're perfect, right? You're in the FBI. You're in the CIA. In the Marshal Service. You're in the police department. You're in Bernie Sanders' office. You're just better than everyone, right? You're a preacher. You don't sin, right? Or you do sin. You sin less. You sin less, right? Or sin less, right? God came to seek and save every person here that you call a sinner. When Jesus appeared on the scene, God was with him. Remember Enoch. If Enoch walked with God and then was not, what do you think of the Son Jesus? Jesus walked with God, then was not, and then was again. So again, they stole my mind, they stole my life. I had the perfect plan to get massages every day. I mean, they gave me PTSD around receiving massages, and they knew it. It's a CIA type of operation. And I did my best to get massages, but I couldn't get them. That's your government. So again, it's nice to be helping people, and I enjoy that. I just wish I had a little bit better condition to help them, because I know I could do more if I could sit comfortably in my car. I can't even drive my car for a distance without being uncomfortable. I spend most of my days standing up, because laying down and sitting down doesn't get me anywhere. So I stand up and I rub myself up against these poles, pressing out knots in my muscles, in my back. Don't have to do anything in my leg to release my legs. I just got to press out the muscles in my upper back, or my middle back, I guess you consider it. Something that nobody wants to acknowledge. I mean, you uncramp my upper back, and then we'll talk about what procedures we'll do next. That's what should have been done, because that was the trigger. Now, if there's another trigger like a facet nerve, then we can find that. You don't leave people in cramped up muscle mode. The only thing that is messed up is I have a doctor that doesn't have night call. So I can ask a simple question. She told me she'd call me. I said, you know, that's how she does her things. I said, look, I usually use the message system. I said, you getting your messages? She goes, oh, well, they usually give me messages. I said, no, this is the computer one. So I don't know if they're used to using that, but that's what that's supposed to be used for. But I said, look, they hooked me up with the wrong doctor, and I had him change it back. He might be getting your messages still. I mean, I can send you a message, but I have no idea who it's routed to. But it's a good group over there. But then again, I have Teledoc, and I have the Blue Cross Blue Shield nurse. So if need be, I could just simply ask them. Because I have a prescription from a doctor for a stronger, or even maybe a more focused muscle relaxer. And you're not supposed to stay on the muscle relaxer on for that long. So I wanted to try to get off of that, and I wanted to talk to my doctor about that, but it got a little uncomfortable in that office. And, you know, I could have been mad. She was an hour late because she was behind for whatever reason. But then again, she spent a long time with me. See, I knew the amount of time she was putting into these other patients would be the amount of time she would put into me. But unfortunately, she's not going to be back in the office for another month. But I mean, she's going to call me. She's going to do whatever she has to do from the phone. She says, I've seen you. We've already talked about it. We don't have to see each other. I said, I'll call you. Don't worry about it. But I was hoping she would use that messaging system. It's just real slick and much easier. So if I had to say anything about Texas Tech for right now that could be better, would be that their doctors are more in tune, and everybody's more in tune with communicating through the messaging system. Now I don't know if it goes to her or it might go to the front nurses and they have to actually screen it and give it to her, and may not have. Because I think that's how they did it in the other East Texas. But if you know anything about BSA, it's a Christian hospital, or at least it looks like one. But it's weird in there. When you go in there in the emergency room, it's just like bright. It's just like different. But it was interesting. Nice people in Texas. I really like them. And the doctor, said, don't worry about it. Because I kept saying, this, that, this. He said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. So again, I've seen good doctors other places. But I mean, I really have not seen the focus on the patient like I'm seeing here. And maybe God got me here so I could find somebody to listen to me. Now, one guy here, he didn't want to listen to me. See, they don't want to fix your problem before they do the procedure, because the procedure is what gets them the money. My doctor had to do a blood test, so she didn't want to give me a steroid pack, but I'm going to call tomorrow and say, hey, I got the blood test done. How about that steroid pack? I don't know if she's going to give it to me, but I think that would go a long way in putting this in the background. I mean, I look at my photo from when I got to Santa Fe, I was bloated. So I definitely had a good juice of steroid to put this thing in remission. That's all I really probably needed. I mean, there might be something else residual around it, but to get rid of that cramping and all of that first was appropriate. But again, there's things in people's heads, so they can't hear. So there is no real life, liberty, or pursuit of happiness here. You get to live and have happiness and the pursuit and all that stuff if they aren't trying to take you out. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But yet they'll tell you, see, this is life here, the life you're living. He could have had your life. You got to do this other thing. They say if I would shut up or I wouldn't say anything, that's a lie. They'll push my buttons till I say something and say, oh, that's why we're doing it, because he said something. And pushing my buttons, I mean, it's psychological warfare and torture. It's more comfortable to say something than not. It's things you can't see. Psychological warfare involves manipulating somebody with things you can't see. The amount of pressure applied here, amount of pressure applied there, amount of good feeling applied here, over there. Psychological torture and psychological warfare. That's where we are today. That's why our nation has fallen and is in this fallen state. Am I saying it's not the greatest nation on earth? Well, I don't think there's anything great on this planet. I think it's a dumbed down great. And I'm not speaking ill of the president. I have a right to freely speak. Or are you a Nazi and believe I should toe the party line, comrade? You want to be seen great, then be great, all of you. You want to be seen defecation-wise, then be defecation-wise. Well, I want to check on this other guy that has the pinched nerve in his neck. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.